Or I didn't realize that my SD card was full, so that's why that video got cut off. But that's what I was saying. You don't necessarily have to wear a yarmulke. You don't necessarily have to do a lot of these things that we do. However, there are reasons why we do them that are political, and we do live in a political world. So you're making, in a certain sense, I'm saying a religio-political statement by wearing a yarmulke. You're making, or by not wearing a yarmulke in certain communities, you're making a religio-political statement also, having mixed seating or not having a mechitza and so forth in the shul. And there's value in recognizing that, because I'd say a big problem that we have is that there's so much kfira, there's so much heresy among the world that identifies themselves as Jewish. If we explain what is really Ikar Hadin and what is not the Ikar Hadin, it might draw people back to the faith. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. I've heard people suggest that this could be a way of bringing people back into the fold, making them realize that you don't have to wear yarmulke all the time. You don't have to make sure everything you eat has a hechsher on it. And I do all these things. I keep Chol Yisrael, I keep Pas Yisrael. My wife chooses to shave her head and wear a tichel, or wear a go tzigabit, like a tzitzil. It's so, but when we recognize that you don't have to do all these things to be a good Jew, it's something that's important to know. All these things are wonderful, and machmir tovei olav bracha. That was something that, when I was talking this morning about Amnon Yitzchak, the fact of the matter is, in many communities, it could be considered a chumrah for women to cover her hair, and it's a good thing. Why not? Especially, we live in a pluralistic society. There's no reason really not to these days, and there's probably a big, what I would call a somewhat of a kitrug for those who don't, for those who make a choice specifically not to be stricter. But the idea is that more blessing comes by more devotion to God, and by making devotions like these things. I know some people say that it's also to have chumras that have no purpose and so forth. I'm not sure about that. I hear, I understand, but it's certainly also, certainly forbidden to expect someone else to accept a chumrah upon themselves. Meaning, it's perfectly fine, not to be part of a certain community that has a certain culture and a certain politic to it. There's no obligation to be a Hasidish like this, I personally, I like the way it looks. I like, and I respect a lot of these other groups that, like to dress up and put on a costume as part of their religious devotion to get into the right type of mood. There are things that, influences a person with that. And so there's tremendous benefits in being strict and doing these extra things. But we shouldn't think that somebody who doesn't do these things, that there's something wrong with them. There's a lot of room for a lot of different ways for people to present themselves. And the truth is, if you go back in the old days in America, the rabbis dressed like rabbis for the most part. In America or in England and other places, a lot of them did, maybe not all of them did. And quite often you'd have rabbis who dressed more similar to the clergy of other faiths. If you ever seen Houdini's father, who was himself, I believe he was probably more orthodox in his upbringing, probably would be considered neolog, which is really more like modern Orthodox today, or ultra-Orthodox, but was considered in Hungary to be Reformed. And so when he came to America, he was a rabbi in a Reformed temple, and you'll see him. He has a robe and preaching bands and things like that. He had a full beard and everything, but he looked more like a minister. And I think there's a certain aspect of respect for the position as a clergy person. But there's a time and a place for all these things, meaning just sometimes you might want to wear a t-shirt, and I guess jeans, even though I find jeans extremely uncomfortable. I don't understand why anyone would want to wear jeans. I love the very flexible dress pants. That's what I like to wear. And when I was a kid, I always wore sweatpants all the time because I hated jeans. I couldn't imagine wearing a stiff my mom would make me wear jeans. I just hated it. But I like dress pants because they're comfortable, and sometimes you wear a t-shirt and a baseball cap, but still wear your tzitzis. If you're a man, you should still, but there's a time and a place for everything, And again, tzitzis, it's the same thing. There's no obligation specifically to put on a four-corner garment. It's just if you do, you have to have tzitzis on. You have to wear them all the time? No, but is it a good thing to do? Sure. So, and it brings blessing into someone's life to wear tzitzis all the time. Some people wear them to sleep even. So, with these types of things in mind, the main reason why I'm saying this is that we should learn not to look down on people who don't do all these things. That's the main message. I'm going to stop here, and I'll start another video probably. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, subscribe.